views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
The views and opinions expressed in this program do not reflect those of Wisconsin Voices. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests are their own, and their appearance on the program do not imply any endorsement or representation by Wisconsin Voices. Thank you for listening to Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Be a voice.
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 Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org
And learn more on how to be a voice with Wisconsin Voice.
This is the cusp of what Milwaukee is going to be doing. You're picking your leadership for the mayor. You're picking your leadership for the county exec. You're picking the leadership for the what else is there? Alderman. And then you're going to be doing some county stuff with the comptroller, Milwaukee comptroller, city treasurer, city attorney. So there's a lot to be discussed. And over the course of the last 2 months or so, we've been interviewing the candidates, and we have 2 more candidates today. Sir, introduce yourself.
Gracz, and I'm running for City of Milwaukee comptroller.
Another comptroller. We have had, I think altogether, we will have all the comptrollers that are on the panel, or on the ballot by the time we do the election. I will ask you the first question that I ask every single candidate. What does the comptroller do?
Well, the comptroller is a very important position. And a lot of people really don't understand or know what the comptroller does. But a comptroller has, basically, it's the financial officer of the city, okay? It has various duties. It does the bond rating. It works on the bonds. It does payroll. One of the most important things it does that affects the citizens is it checks on the spending of the city. Okay. Okay. What I mean by checking on the spending, it makes sure that the monies that is collected by the taxpayers is spent properly and spent for the benefit of the taxpayers. My goal as comptroller would be to audit the various departments and to make sure that that money is being spent properly.
So it's like taking the budget, which the Common Council approves. After that budget is given to the departments, you watch over the departments and make sure that they're spending it appropriately.
Well, that's part of it, yes. But it's also to make sure that when the money comes in, the money is directed to the proper place. For instance, a 2% sales tax. Okay, that has specific things that has to be done with it. It can't be used for anything else. It has to be used for the pension system, and it has to be used for additional police and firefighters. Not to offset the budget, but to add new ones. And that's as traveling through the city and meeting with various groups and people from all areas of the city. They all want the same thing. We were talking earlier. No matter what area you go to, whether it's the north side, south side, east side, west side, the wants and needs of the citizens are the same. They want safe streets. They want well-maintained streets. They want their taxes to go down, and they want to make sure that they're protected. They want to make sure they're getting the money, their money's worth for the tax.
Paying for their buck. Yeah,
that's right. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand, talking to some people on rent, they don't think, well, the taxes won't affect me. Well, they sure do.
They do.
because the landlord is going to basically pass down those costs to the renter.
And that's one of the things we brought up in the show previously, because I think one of a woman called and said, she feels a little bit sad that she's not contributing to, the schools or anything, because she's like, I'm a renter, I'm not a property owner. I said,
You're paying for
but
it.
you're paying for it when you pay your rent, and your landlord is taking that money and paying the property taxes. So you are contributing, even with the sales tax. You are contributing because you're buying goods at that 2%. So you're adding into it. So never think, if you live in the city or you live wherever you are contributing, whether you're a homeowner or not. You are contributing because you're paying the rent. You're paying, you're buying your food, you're buying gas, whatever it is that you're buying, your necessities, you are contributing to that area.
Exactly. And we were talking out in the room a little earlier. Taxes, across the board taxes, they affect the poorest people in the city the most.
Yes.
We were talking about, some people think wherever I go, one of the main topics that is brought up, the potholes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's universal throughout the city. That affects the lowest earner in the city more than the highest earner. And the reason being, for instance, I know a person, he hit a pothole, he had to have his car towed. That person's making a lot of money. So whatever the wheel cost, it's an expensive car, $1,000, whatever it costs, it's a pain to him, but he can afford it. I was talking to another woman, an African-American woman at a bingo on the south side of Milwaukee. And we were talking about potholes. And she said, and this is what struck me, she says, I hit a pothole, my wheel was damaged, I couldn't drive my car, I had to take my bus, the kids to shopping, so on and so forth. So it's a great problem for somebody who's not making a lot of money and working paycheck to paycheck. And that's a big deal. Years ago, when you hit a pothole in the city, you could go before the Common Council and get reimbursed for it. You can't do that anymore because over the years, what the city has done, they spread out the maintenance for the city infrastructure, and that's what's causing the backlog. My job as comptroller would be make sure that money, whatever money is set aside for that, is spent for that to make sure it's taken care of. Now, a lot of things are mentioned about the transparency of the comptroller's office. Well, the transparency is, you can say, oh, okay, well, we're showing you how the bills are being paid and so on and so forth. We're showing you the audit, the city audit. Did you ever see the city audit? It's 2.5 to 3 inches.
Mm-hmm. It's about 400 pages or so.
Okay. Now, tell me the average taxpayer wants to find out an answer and is going to look at that audit and find out. It's not going to find it, right?
Right.
So I think the comptroller's office should take that audit and put it in layman's terms so that the citizens know where their money is going.
So like an interpretation, I call it wordsmithing, because sometimes people reports and stuff are a little bit over even my head. And I understand a lot of that stuff. It's over my head. So if someone is able to interpret
exactly
what it is saying.
Exactly.
One of the things before we get back into this, we want to know about you. I mean, because we're basically, and we've been pushing this, that we're hiring somebody for 2 years, 4 years, whatever the term is. We're hiring you.
Yes.
But when we do interviews and stuff, we also need to get to know the person, not just that they know the job, but we want to kind of get to know the person. So tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Gracz. Okay.
With a Z.
With a Z, yes. And I've grown up in the city. I've lived here all my life. I was a Milwaukee firefighter for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those last 20 years of that, I was union president. While I was union president, I worked with the city, I worked with the county, and I worked with the government in Madison, both sides of the aisle. I think at the time I thought a union president, and I still think so, a union president should be independent, because in order to get something done and work for your membership, you have to be able to work with both sides. My philosophy was I had responsibility for 1,200 people and their families. So that bumps it up to 3,500, maybe 4,000 people. Every decision I made was for the benefit of those persons.
Is that what you're trying to bring into the comptroller?
That's exactly what I want to bring into the comptroller's office. I want to make sure that I'm responsible to you, the public, the taxpayer. While I was union president, 9/11 happened, and we, the firefighters, through raising money through our community, raised over $850,000 for the fallen firefighters' families in New York. Our lowest contribution was 35 cents. Our highest was $10,000. We did that in 3 months. So I'm active within a community.
You're an organizer by trade. We always push organizers because sometimes almost every single job, when you have to, make plans or do things,
Right.
they have some kind of organizing background.
Right.
It makes a difference.
And every cent went to the firefighters' families. Everybody did it voluntary basis. Now, my background in education is I have a business degree, Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration from Marquette. When I was a union president, I was appointed to the UW Board of Regents. While I was on the UW Board of Regents, I sat on the building and finance committee, which was responsible for the new buildings on the UW campus, which was very involved, and you had to look at the budget and make sure everything was, copacetic to go forward. One of the important things that we did when I was on the UW Board of Regents, we remodeled Camp Randall Stadium, which needed some remodeling, because if you've ever been there, when jump around happens, that stadium used to shake.
Right. And it still does a little bit.
It still does a little bit. The other things I've done in my career, and that's where I bring in a lot of experience. I worked at the county, and I was headed the labor negotiations department. So I had to negotiate and work on budgets with the county. After that, I went to the state. I was in the Department of Administration, and I worked with the various departments to make sure that the labor force was being properly handled and taken care of. Every position I've had, whether it be a firefighter within the union, whether it be with at county, Board of Regents, or at the state, the job that I left was better off than when I got there.
Oh, and
So I was.
That is key.
That is key.
That is definitely key. You mentioned I kind of lost my train of thought because I found interesting. You were talking about all the positions that you did. Oh, when it comes to, you mentioned earlier, you're in charge of the bonding. I mean, you not in charge of the bonding, but you're trying to get the city in a position to get a great bond rating. And that ends up being part of the audit. So if you have a clean audit, if you have a good audit, your bond rating of how much or what you get when you borrow money for the city is very important. And I think explaining that a little bit will get people to understand why these audits are important and what we need to do, and that there's no malfeasance and you're doing things correctly within the audit. Because when you go to borrow money, because every city borrow money, but when you go to borrow money, your rating, the higher your rating is, the lower your interest rate.
Right, and the lower your interest rate, the better deal you get and the more money you save for the taxpayers.
Exactly.
That's one of the things. And part of the audit, it's not only how much money you're spending and you're paying bills. Part of the audit is that the money is being spent in the right place. So in other words, you're taking in X amount of dollars for street maintenance. Okay. Or are you going to use that street maintenance to fix the potholes like what we talked earlier, or to put in new curbs or something? What is more important? What benefits the taxpayer more? What benefits
Prioritizing
the spending? Exactly.
often.
Now to clean audits, I mean, there's an audit of every department. And like I said earlier, the audits are signed off and they're very thick. Those audits have to be delved into a little more so that they get more specific for the needs of the citizens and the taxpayers.
Right. Well, why did you run? Why do you want this position?
Well, because I care about the city.
I mean, but you've accomplished so much and you've done a lot for the people. You could sit back and,
Yes, I could.
relax and just enjoy. I don't know if you have grandkids or kids still around.
Grandson, yes.
And you could sit back and play with him all day. Why do you want to run?
Well, here's the thing. You got two options in life.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit back and complain, or you can get in the ring and do something about it. I choose to get in the ring and do something about it.
All right.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. For instance, when you talk about where the city is right now, why I agree we needed a 2% sales tax, otherwise there would have been drastic cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But why did we get in this position? Why did we get in the position where we needed to get a sales tax?
Because we're not getting our shared revenue, or something else. Okay.
Shared revenue. Well, we can talk about shared revenue because when I was president of the union, I worked with Mayor Norquist and Mayor Barrett and Tommy Thompson and the legislature, and then Jim Doyle in the legislature to make sure that we got our shared revenue. We were very important as firefighters working with the city to get shared revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And I left the fire department in 2006. So since then, the shared revenue has gone down drastically. And that's one thing that I bring to the table. I have the ability to work with Madison, both sides of the aisle, because I've done that in my entire career. The other thing on why you look at the situation, there was an article in the, I know this for a fact. In 2000, the pension system was $500 million overfunded. From 2000 to 2024, we're underfunded to the point where we had to get a 2% sales tax. Why is that?
We're talking about money, and people love when they can save money. They love that. And some people, I found that they don't care and they don't mind paying extra if they're getting the services they need and want and desire. If they're not, if they can't see it, if they can't feel it, that's where the issue comes in.
That's right.
But if they say, they got a 2% sales tax, say for instance, but if they see that their roads are getting better or their potholes are going away, it's like, oh, crime is down. They usually won't say a word.
No, I totally agree with that. But again, why are we in this position? We have to start looking at where that money is being spent and why it's being spent. We have to make sure that the money is being spent properly. And I'm not saying anything is going on nefarious at all. I'm just saying that sometimes when you're working in a position for a long period of time, it's a group think type of thing. When I learned a lot when I worked in Madison. Sometimes the bureaucrats have their own mindset. And, what they'll do is if they don't like the policies, they'll just wait and, drag things along and wait till somebody else is elected. And, that can be a problem. I think at this stage of the game in Milwaukee, we need some fresh blood in that office, and we need somebody with experience on various levels of government and somebody who is totally independent and looking out for the taxpayers of this city.
This is an open seat, so there's no incumbent.
There's no
incumbent in this, so you have a choice between two fresh blood people.
That's right.
There is we've been talking about, and I keep reiterating this, is because we keep talking about these elections for a comptroller, for the treasurer. They are very important, and people put the emphasis on, like, obviously mayor and alderman is important, but these other judge, comptroller, the treasurer, all these, DA will be up this year. All these things will make a difference, and you have to kind of push to make sure you understand these positions.
Correct.
414-444-5250. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, let us know. In your experience, are you a little bit feeling a challenge in this, or are you pretty confident that you're going to be able to go in here and kind of handle your business? I mean, I know there's obviously you have some confidence because you wouldn't be running for this seat, but how are you going in looking at this? Are you going in looking at it as, I'm going to wipe everything and start from scratch? Or how would you go about going into this position?
Well, I believe that, I believe there's 55 employees in that division right now, 55 or 56, I'm not sure. And I think they're all professionals. Most of them are probably accountants. And I believe that they need an administrator to look over and see what they're doing and make sure they're doing the job for the best interest of the taxpayers. I've never had a problem working with people. When I go into a position, and I've got into several positions, I don't look at it as I'm the boss and I know it all. I go into it as we're a team. We can get this done. We can make changes for the benefit of the citizens. And that's how I'll take it. The thing that I would say to my employees that are under me, like I've said everywhere, we do the job, we do it right, we make sure we're responsible for our constituents, because we don't work for the mayor. We don't work for the council. We work for you, the public. And we want to make sure that the public has responsible leadership.
Well, I thank you very much for coming in and giving us your pitch, because these positions have to be talked about. They have to be understood by the people who are voting. I don't want to see that there's a drop off where people vote for mayor and county exec and they're alderperson and then they don't vote for anybody else. I want them, and they won't vote because, like, I don't know what this is, and I'm not voting for anybody who I don't know. Yeah. So I like when they kind of drop off and or they don't drop off and they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you, sir. Gracz.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, go for Greg. Vote for Gracz, because he's going to be the taxpayers' watchdog.
Catch Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio, every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. as we focus on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org. Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
let's talk about early voting. It started today.
Gonna run through March 30th. I got some information on where folks can go to vote.
Go ahead and peep us on the information. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, 414-444-5250.
Absolutely. So, starting today, weekdays 9 to 5, Saturdays 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Sundays 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. You can vote at the Ziedler Municipal Building, the Capitol Drive Voting Center, which is on the southwest corner of 60th Street and West Capitol Drive, or the Zablocki Library. Forgive me, I'm only 2 months into being a Wisconsinite, and I'm still learning how to pronounce all these names.
We forgive him. We forgive him. Keep going.
Okay, so weekdays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can vote at the Washington Park Library, the Tippecanoe Library, and the Good Hope Library. And then weekdays, and this is only from March 25th to March 29th. Weekdays from 9 to 5, you can vote at the UW Milwaukee's Helene Zelazo Center for Performing Arts. Let me just give you the address, 2419 East Kenwood Boulevard.
Don't feel bad because I'm a Wisconsinite and I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey,
but y'all know where it is if y'all over there by UW.
I just learned Wauwatosa, so.
Oh, good job.
Well, there's one more weekdays, and this is only March 19th through March 28th. Weekdays, so that ends that Thursday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the MATC's T Building at 1101 North 6th Street.
All those, I like early voting because I don't have to worry. I know that no matter what happens, my vote is counted. Nothing can get me. Sometimes stuff gets in the way on election day. That's why the options are election day, early voting, mail, whatever you need to do to get the job done, get the job done. And you can decide for yourself which option is best. I am a in-person early voter. I don't necessarily like the mail because how many of y'all stack mail up? Yep. And then you'll be like, oops, I forgot. So I like to, run in there, do my thing real quick and get out.
And encourage your friends and family to go out and vote. If they're registered, if they're not, get registered, get out and vote and encourage your friends and family and your community members, your neighbors to participate in voting.
Our family does it all together. I think this is the only year that we won't do it together because the baby girl is at school. So she did a mail-in, but my husband and I will both vote together. And then she will vote when she gets back on spring break next week. So, and that brings us to one of her mentors that she used to run the Urban Underground, but now she has put her foot into the political ring, which I really thought she would never do. Please introduce yourself.
Is it still morning? Yes. Good morning, WNOV family. And it's Sharlen Moore.
But this is the Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice family, too.
It's got to be a voice. Let me be clear. Thank you so much, Tanika, and the staff for inviting me on the show this morning.
So your name is Sharlen Moore. I will ask you what I ask everybody. I know people are sick of me asking this, but we have to know if you know what job you're applying for. So what does an alderman do?
Yes, and I'm going to answer that question. I definitely have to say I am thrilled that here in Milwaukee that we have many options for voting. So whether you like the mail, whether you like to go early, whether you like to go on election day, there is no excuse for not casting your ballot. So I'm excited that we have early voting options, especially on the weekend. So I'm so glad that our city is providing those options for our residents. So just have to preface it by saying that no excuse, people, get out and cast your ballot and get out and vote. So you asked, like, what does the alderman, do? And it's so funny because, some people think the alderman do, or excuse me, the alderperson. Woman.
Oh, I'm an alderwoman. So I always say woman every day, all day. I get it.
I love it. But the alderperson is responsible for city related issues. I think from, interviewing and connecting with a lot of the alders that are currently on the council now, they said a lot of your, issues are going to be centered around constituents responding to, hey, my garbage didn't get picked up, or, I got these issues, with my city, or there's an abandoned house in my neighborhood and we need to figure out how to, get that taken care of. So it's really supporting residents on issues related to where they live, work, and play.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, I know you a little bit from your work with Urban Underground, but some people may not know you. Tell us what district you're in. You're running for District 10, correct?
10, yes.
I think we had your opponent on yesterday. Yesterday, I think. Yes, we had your opponent on yesterday. And we want to know, a little bit about you, your background, and then why are you running? What made you run?
Yeah. So just real briefly, I am a transplant to this community. I wasn't born and raised here, but I spent the majority of my life here in Milwaukee. I grew up in the Sherman Park area, and probably about 7 years ago, our family moved to the Merrill Park neighborhood. I started Urban Underground and co-founded that organization with my husband, Reggie Moore, who used to work for the Office of Violence Prevention, did some incredible work there, and now is working for the Medical College of Wisconsin, doing some, just continued his growth there is around violence prevention and how to support community. And we've always been, public servants. And so I come to this work as a public servant, not as I'm going into politics and, I'm gonna, go in and yes, I'm going to go in and do amazing things, but I know that it's going to be the collective responsibility of working with people. And that's where my strength comes in. I'm a community organizer at heart. And what better way to engage community is to find out what they want, what they need, right? Have them be the drivers. And I think I come into this work doing that very well, which positions me to be able to work with all sorts of people from different backgrounds, different races, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and be able to say, you know what, we may all not agree on particular things, and that's okay. That's the beautiful thing about living in a city such as Milwaukee. We don't got to agree on everything, but there's certain fundamental things that we all have a vision for moving forward, and it's going to take the collective of us getting there and doing it together.
414-444-5250, Miss Sharlen Moore. One of the things that there seems to be a running theme, background in organizing, background in public service, or trying to get a message out. I think almost all of the candidates that have come in here have done some kind of work in the community, either have their own 501c3, worked on campaigns, whatever it is, they all, most of them at least, all have some kind of organizing background. I know that you have, I want to say, developed so many prominent people through Urban Underground. I think I know the county exec went through, David Crowley. David Bowen is your brother, so he went through the program and helped. Who else went through that program? I know my daughter, Kaylin Haywood.
Have gone through Urban Underground there in
Madison,
Darren,
yes.
Have gone through the organization. I mean, we've been honored to have started an organization that organically taught about community leadership and development and what that means as a young person, having your own voice and being able to say, you know what, yeah, I can change my community. I can change the things that are needed. And then that honor of going into politics and serving.
But you don't talk about being elected or being in politics through this program. This is just the path they just happen to take. You are just talking about being part of the community, being part of where you live. And this is just how they ended up, you are the one that inspired my daughter to want to do pre-law. So I thank you for that. But you gonna have to convince these people to vote for you, and that you have this. You have the oomph to do what you need to do. What are your three things that you would like to work on once you get in the office? What are your three passion, like the thing that made you want to run? What are the things you want to change?
Yeah. And so, thank you for that great question. I think the beautiful thing about me going into this position is because my centering people first. And so, one of the main things this question was asked me before is first, unifying our district. For many folks, there's lots of different neighborhoods in each of our, districts. And so for District 10, one of the things that I want to be able to collaboratively do is pull residents together from different neighborhoods. I think we're in so much silo, there are certain neighborhoods that, some of our elected officials have lived in certain neighborhoods. And so those neighborhoods get a little bit more attention, they get a little bit more love. And quite frankly, some of our other neighborhoods, kind of get put on the back burner. I want to change that. I want to provide a little bit more equity to let everybody in my district know that everybody matters, right? And so we do that by unifying those voices. So one of the things that I'm going to do is have a District 10 leadership group that is comprised of neighbors from or residents from the different neighborhoods, so that we can talk about, oh, you do this annual Halloween event. How do you do it? How can we get other districts involved? Like, we talk about the issues from different areas, because each of our community, even from one block to another, can be experiencing some different things, whether it may be public safety, whether it may be housing, like they're different things. So let's start having those conversations. So that's one of the things that I want to go in, making sure that residents know that they have a voice. And if there are issues that come up, there's things that are going on with the highway expansion. There's conversation about turning, I want to say it's I-74, 75 into a boulevard. So there's some preliminary conversations, that are going on around that. I want people to be able to be informed and be a part of those conversations from the jump. And if there are questions, it's just like there's a platform for those questions and conversations to happen. I also want to make sure people understand that, I want to live in a safe neighborhood. I want everybody to live in a safe neighborhood, but that comes with intentionality. Are we making sure that we are building equity? We are building stability. One of that for me is housing. We gotta work a little bit better on housing stability. And that will, and also, do you know your neighbors? Some people think we need more police, and yeah, okay. If that's what your theory is about building public safety. But for me, it's, do I know the person next door to me by name? Right? Can I call them by name? Do I know their kids? You understand? I mean, we're talking about some of the basic and fundamental things in rebuilding community.
I think that's very important, because if we lived, before I moved to Glendale, I was on 45th and Capitol. And I knew every one of my neighbors because I'm nosy like that. But what'd you say? But I want to know, but we also knew if somebody was in front of somebody's house, we knew that person wasn't supposed to be there. So
there you go.
And there was a time where, there was some drug dealing going on our block, and it wasn't per se on our block, but what they do was they'd roll up, another car would roll behind there, and then they do their exchange, and then they would leave. So it wasn't necessarily the people on our block, but they used our block as a flip.
There you go.
So that's when I started coming outside, pretending like I was on the phone. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? Who is that? Pretending like I was on. Now I know this is probably dangerous, but I wanted to make sure that you knew, look, I might be taking a picture of your license plate. Do you really want to mess with me? I have my neighbors and we're all watching.
There you go.
So that is a very important part of what happened, in my circle.
Please join Wisconsin Voices every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We will be focusing on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
The three pillars of Wisconsin Voices are protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, and building community. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices and our partners at wisconsinvoices.org. Stay up to date on our community events page and get involved by visiting our donation page.
Protection is amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Right. I'm glad your coworker said, yeah.
I don't know how I saw that, but I didn't see any.
That's what I'm saying. You was bullying me. You didn't see any from
A lot of folks in the jail because of statements like that.
I didn't see anything.
Keon Jackson. I ain't gonna say the whole thing. What was Latoya's?
Got you, because that's the reason.
Oh wow!
I got a lot of whoopings under Keon Jackson.
I just wanted to know what was Latoya's last name today. Jenkins, was it?
Jacobs.
Oh, we had Jenkins the other day.
Jacobs, Jago Iverson.
So we when we started the show, Latoya wouldn't give. Oh,
you were
Todd. She wouldn't give her gut. We were like, why don't you give your government name? So now every day she comes up with it. When she's on the show, she comes up with it. I love it.
One day, thank you for the names. Actually, what was my
Yeah. What was your name?
Question on
March
Friday.
19th. Yeah. Let's get back to the candidate at hand. Tell us a little bit about, I know you said what you were going to do, but why would you do this? You have been running this organization for, a very successful organization for what, 10, 15 years, 20, 24. Yeah. What makes you want to jump into this?
Yeah, no, that's the question of the hour. I'm at the point in my career where it was a natural fit and the opportunity came. And so I wasn't going out seeking, what political office am I going to go into? Everything sort of came together at its divine time. So I have 3 children. My twins are in college. The last one is on her way out. This is her last year in high school. Our district, Merrill Park, got redistricted into the 10th district. It so happened that the alderman, Michael Murphy, the standing alderman for the last 30 plus years, is retiring. And so it was one of those things where
everything fell into
place. Folks have been wanting me to go into politics for years, and my focus have always. Thanks, Latoya.
I've been calling your husband. No, I've been calling him my mayor forever. I mean, like, I have a mayor. No offense, Brian Kennedy, I love you. But I've been calling Reggie. I was like, hey, mayor, been trying to say, you gonna ever run for office? And he always, absolutely not. No, I got my job. I'm doing, the work of the people.
That's it.
But I should have probably been calling you Alderperson, or because you had that. Well, hopefully, the election is April 2nd. And hopefully if you do win the seat, you'll come back and talk to us.
When I win the seat, I will come back.
That's for you to say. We
absolutely
do not endorse
not at all
any
not
candidates, but I love.
But you do know, Sharlen has this thing. You don't have future leaders. We have now leaders. Hey,
come on,
you understand? I'm back now.
Listen, what was that again? Could you please say that one more time?
All of them together.
What did you say? Say that one more time.
We don't have future leaders. We have now leaders. When you talk about the youth, we call them future leaders. No, they're now leaders. You train them up today.
Yes.
That's deep. Oh, he was in the class then. He was in the class.
Keon, though. Yeah.
Jerry, I forgot Jerry Curl Crush.
And it's great that we look at young people as our future. That's awesome. Yes, they have that role, right? Absolutely. But they also know that they're making some amazing strides right now.
She's the owner right now.
Listen, come on.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm the alder right now.
In Glendon.
I'm a hype. Y'all, I've been given so much, people are giving me some crap of being, the Keon always goes through. hit y'all police today. Tamika, what your police doing? Or he got something to say about my city all the time.
Oh, I love him now, especially my last experience.
We have to talk about that last experience because that's hilarious. But well, voting. Let's go over voting one more time because this is so important. This is so important. Vote, vote, vote. You can go there today.
Today, for the April 2nd election, starting today through March 30th. Ziegler Municipal Building, Capitol Drive Voting Center, Zablocki Library, Washington Park Library, Tippecanoe Library, Good Hope Library, UW Milwaukee, and the MATC's T Building on 6th Street. So there's lots of locations. And if you need information on how to vote, how do we do that?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the policy director.
myvote.wi.gov.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought he was going.
Trying to tell you everything you need to know.
He is our policy director. He knows everything. He'll be in his office studying.
I pride myself that I don't know everything. I like to continuously learn. And
I love it.
Being here in Wisconsin ever since I came, it's been a complete learning experience. I'm learning more every day. So it comes along with this amazing team that helps lift me up too.
When we get together, I'll give you the crash course.
And I want to jump on that too, because, going into this area, there's a lot that I don't know, right? I know quite a bit, with community folks and being able to have connections at the state level as well. And just, the connections with people. I've been able to learn a lot just by being able to be in certain rooms and certain spaces. But there's going to be definitely a level of growth. And I pride myself on that because that's why I'm going to there's some amazing people in my neighborhood already that says, Sharlen, this is my area of expertise. I would love to coach you up on this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's been nothing but love.
And that's the greatest to this position. I think one of the biggest things when you run for office, don't think you know it. Go in there making sure that you sit back, get taught. You can still be who you are, but learn before you step and try to change stuff, because the things you try to change may be one of the things that are actually working.
And opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
The views and opinions expressed in this program do not reflect those of Wisconsin Voices. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests are their own, and their appearance on the program do not imply any endorsement or representation by Wisconsin Voices. Thank you for listening to Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Be a voice.
Be a voice. Be a voice. Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org. Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
And learn more on how to be a voice with Wisconsin Voice.